pleasure in welcoming you all to another visitor's talk. We do have it at Faculty of Graduate Studies. Those who are coming to University of Moratuwa, we invite them to impart some of the words of wisdom to our students, researchers, and everybody, and also to make connection. And today I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Bandula Wijay. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about him, as he is the only we have as Science and Technology Innovation Ambassador for Sri Lanka, International Ambassador for Sri Lanka. We don't have Dr. Bandula Wijay is unique, cabinet approved. He's the single person at this stage. But more so, as a researcher, I would say that when we do research, we like to see impact. And every single second, as a result of what you have done, if you see somebody's life has changed, somebody's life has been made better from disease to no disease and transformed, and if I've been the contributor to that research, I'd be pretty happy. Now, it's in that context I can introduce Dr. Bandula Wijay, because for his every second, he's proud about, or he's happy, he can be happy about what he has done, because his identification of the invention, not just one, this is just one example of the nested loop vascular stent, now with Boston Science, is probably helping someone across the world, not just in one place. So that's probably what he's talking about, the need and the impact, right? And his journey a bit. He is scientist, engineer, entrepreneur, businessman, now philosopher as well, in trying to push this mindset into us that let's do, and specifically looking at Sri Lanka, because he's here only for a few days, but all the time everybody's capturing him for get some words out of him. And after this, 11 o'clock, he'll be going to University of Runa. One thing happy about him introducing is that I just got to know today that in 1973, he has been in the chemical engineering department. He started his life in chemical engineering, and he has helped our department as a member of staff, very short time period, before going Fulbright scholar to United States. And he literally changed the world through his inventions, which now comes to about 35 patents, 45 inventions, 35 plus patents, right? Just mention one that is changing. And on the journey here, he was discussing about his pet topic these days is about stopping heart failure, or trying to intervene the heart attacks ahead of something going wrong. So let me invite Dr. Bandula Wijay for his presentation. And thanks a lot for taking time to be with us.
Thank you, Professor Always. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today. Good morning to all of you. So when I come to Sri Lanka, I get invited to talk everywhere. I think this 12 days, I have 6 or 7 talks like this. I had a major talk at the College of Cardiology last Sunday. So when I'm talking at the College of Cardiology, 1,000 people in the audience is one thing, but here I'm in a smaller audience. So what do I want to do? What I want to do here today is to talk about a topic, and a topic that has changed my life, as well as hopefully the life of a lot of other people. And to get you guys excited based on what I have done, that my history, and see, he can do it, I can do it. And I'm from Sri Lanka. I was born in Goa, Bandula, went to Mahindra College, and I left the country when I was 19. So I didn't grow up here per se, going to school and things like that. But for most of it, I'm a Sri Lankan. now living in the United States for 51 years. So today I want to talk to you about this one topic, and I have talked about the topic numerous times. Can't even count the number of times I have talked about it, because this topic is very important for your success. Because of that, I want to talk about it. Maybe what is in the presentation is not essential, but I will use that as a guide. Okay. So what happens not only here in Sri Lanka, but also in the United States and in other countries as well, is uh, there is a excitement of doing a startup. Okay, I want to do a startup. I want to build a company. I want to have a product in the market, and hopefully I can contribute to society, and in the process make some money. That is the thought process that is in everybody's. Not only here, but even in the United States, the same thought process goes through. So I'm in Texas, in Houston. We have the largest medical center in the world. It's about 3 miles this way, 3 miles that way. That's 9 square miles, right? You're talking kilometers, but you understand it's fairly probably the size of this Murdo University. And the GDP of that is over $100 billion, which is higher than the GDP of the country like Sri Lanka. So there's a huge economy going there. And the Texas Medical Center is very proud of what they have contributed to society. For example, the heart transplant became successful because we invented the drug called cyclosporine. I didn't, but TMC. And bypass surgery was developed there, and angioplasty, like what I did, and lots of other things, including various cancer drugs. I mean, there's lots of things. Heart-lung machine. When you do bypass surgery, you have to put a patient on a sort of a machine to oxygenate the blood. That was invented there. So that's a place with innovation. So needless to say that people around this place want to come up with ideas and make it a success. So the last 10 years, there are so many incubators, and one of them is a very well-known incubator. It's called TMCI. I hope to take Professor Alvis there when he comes to Houston. And every year there are two cohorts of 20 startups. Each startup is about 20 startups, one in the spring and one in the fall, one the beginning of the year, one later in the year. I don't know. I've been there as an advisor for about 6 years. I'm no longer an advisor there. But in the last 10 years, nothing has come up. So the question is, there's so much of energy going into this, yet there's no product in the market. So the question is, are we doing the right thing over there, or are we doing the right thing over here? So that's what I want to talk to you about. That's where I want to focus my talk today is about. Okay. So in this talk, I want to focus on these two words: need and impact. Okay. A lot of us, myself included, wake up in the morning out of bed, and in the night, in the morning, you wake up, and the 30 minutes or so, you just hang out and think about things you're going to do and say, I have this idea. Okay. So you come out and maybe you go to Google and search or whatever. Then you convince yourself, oh my God, I had the greatest idea since sliced bread. Okay. So you're very proud of it. Okay, I got a great idea. And next thing is you jump into the boat and start to work on this idea. So now you're with the boat, you're rowing the boat, you have this idea. But what you have not done is you have analyzed that idea, because when you come up with a novel idea, you feel very proud about yourself and say, wow, I'm like those guys who have changed the world. So I am good. I need to do this. So this thought process is like taking a drug, okay? You lose consciousness, you lose your ability to think in an intelligent manner. So here's what I am going to talk about today is you have an idea. The next thing you have to do is to do analysis to find out, is there a need for this idea you have come up with? Okay. Let's talk about it. This is an example I give in every time I talk about this subject is I walked into a motor campus, and one thing I noticed was there are no coffee stalls. There are no places where kids or students can go get a cup of coffee or tea. No? And I thought to myself while I was walking with always, and I said, maybe I need a cup of tea. Well, I didn't see any place where people are lining up to get tea. And I said, aha, there's a need. Most of the youth walking around the campus, sometimes you like to drink tea, whether you really want to drink or not, you just want to drink tea. Is there a need? Yes. So is that something that's going to change the world? No. I mean, it's a tea store or coffee store, coffee shop. Will it change everybody's life? No. Is there a need? Yes. What is the impact? What kind of impact will that have? So you start a coffee shop outside this building and you drink coffee. Coffee is in Sri Lanka, coffee is very expensive. In my hotel, it was like 700 rupees. Same price as in the US, okay? And 700 rupees is like $2.25, no? It's $2.50, you can get a cup of coffee there. It's the same price, yeah, it's a price. And impact, what impact will it have, okay? So can you be in business somewhere and make hoppers so people come and buy? Yes, you can. Okay. Uh, so when I drive around, you see a lot of hopper stores, right? And people can go and buy the hoppers. So there's a need. But is the person who making the hopper going to be wealthy, made a life for themselves? Chances are no. Has a small impact. So impact can be huge impact, or it can be a small impact. So let's talk about this in a little bit more detail now. And so let's say, what is the need? Okay. So need is trying to close a gap. So there is a gap, and we are trying to come up with the means to close that gap. There could be a product or service as a need. There are two types of needs. One is an existing need, like I talked about the coffee shop. Now think about what happened a few years ago. You know Uber, of course, you know Airbnb, right? So a person wants to go from point A to point B, and there's another person who has a car, who has time, so he can go and pick this guy up and take him over there and make some money. It makes him the money, the driver. It serves the person who wants to go from point A to point B. So that his need is satisfied, and he has an impact. He's making money. And look what happened. Uber, I don't remember when Uber started. It started in the United States, would say about 10 years ago or something like that. And so is Airbnb. There's somebody has a house in a nice area, in a touristic area, one room, good bathroom and all these things. It's fairly empty. Oh, give it to somebody who is a tourist and make some money, right? Airbnb. Both of these things became very, very successful, both for the Uber and Airbnb, and also it was successful for the people who have the car or the house or the room. So they both were very happy. And it also met a need, going from point A to point B, or coming and staying in a touristic area for a few days. So it just worked out for everybody, right? So this is what we need to do. So today, can you come up with quote unquote an Uber? You will be multi-billionaire, right? So if you think of it, think of that, okay, if I do this, oh my God, there's a huge need. And it will satisfy the people, the consumer, and then everybody makes money. You make money, the person who provides the service makes money, and it helps the people who need the service, right? So this is an existing need, okay? So when it comes to this need, this one is the existing need. This is existing need. I went to this where you channel doctors. in Sri Lanka. I went to that. Oh my God. I went like 4:30, 5 o'clock. That place was full. They were it's like a bus station, okay? People seated waiting to see the doctor, the rooms, and the doctors are in the rooms and the people are waiting. And I thought to myself, that's Uber of seeing doctors, right? And the guy who hospital I went to was RCD. They charge 1,600 rupees to see the doctor, and that the doctor fee, 1,600 rupees for the facility fee. Same amount as the doctor they charge, okay? And then they have some other small charges. So total was like 4,000 rupees. It's not a big deal. So what I'm saying is, who these people like Ashiri Hospital and Navaloka Hospital and all these hospitals, they saw that need. And they put two people together, the doctor and the patient together in that place, and they started, basically, they started raking money, you know. I mean, what did they do? They have a room with a light switch on, and there's some receptionist who helps the people to which room it goes to, you have to go to. They start making money, right? So this thing was there long before Uber and uh, Airbnb, right? So we had that kind of system working in Sri Lanka of what do you call it, channeling, each channeling of the doctors there before. And people on both sides made money, and it's good for the patients too, people like who's going to see the doctor. So it helped everybody, right? So that's really a very interesting example of a business model that we are talking about the need and impact. Huge impact, huge need, satisfies everybody. The other need is something you create the need. Okay, I remember when I finished my PhD, I was writing my thesis. Okay, but I started working. Just as soon as I finished the work, I got a job and I went to work there, went into a job. So I was writing the thesis. There were no computers. Okay, type it on a typewriter. And I don't know how to type. I mean, I'm very slow typing. So I was working in a company and I had a secretary. So whatever I wrote by hand, I gave it to her. She did the typing. So that's I graduated in 1978. Okay. I did my thesis on a typewriter. So what happened then? Computers came. Now, from 1978 to today, 2025, the computers have changed so much. And now with artificial intelligence, you don't even have to type, right? I hardly type into the computer anymore. If I'm preparing a PowerPoint, yes, I do type, but otherwise, just talk to it. It types it, or tell ChatGPT to do it for me. They'll do it. So what happened in that time? In that time of 1970s, what's the guy, Microsoft guy, Bill Gates, he came and created the need. Okay. So one is the need existed, like the Uber and Airbnb or like the channeling of doctors, the need was there. But in 1978, I wasn't sitting and thinking, oh, we need to come up with a computer that can make your life easier. Bill Gates did, right? So he created the need. Now imagine what kind of impact that has in the world, everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, whether you go in the United States, Europe, China, even in a remote, undeveloped nation, in an island nation somewhere in the Pacific, there's computers, right? There's internet, right? And so other good example is internet. They created the need. So these two, one is the need exists, you meet the need, and the other is you create the need. So if you create the need, of course, you may have a huge impact, like everything we talk about. For example, like the Microsoft Word or the computers and the Microsoft Word, Microsoft system, and or other things. Okay. But when you sit down, when you get up from your bed in the morning, you not necessarily have to create a need, but there are a lot of existing needs that you can solve and come up with a big success and have a good product or service. Okay, so going forward, if you're one of these people who will create the need, good, great. But at the same time, you can do things that will address existing needs. Okay. So this is the need. Now let's talk about what is the impact. Okay. The impact, let's see how we're going to do this. Okay. So impact is going to be how much impact. Like we talk about the coffee shop. Okay. There is going to be an impact, but it's not going to be a huge impact. All right. So, but if you streamline, let's take for you already know. Let's say you came out with a piece of paper, card, and you print a QR code in there, and everybody gets that QR code. But your personalized QR code, you have a password to get into it, right? So instead of putting out the cash and buying a bus ticket or train ticket, and it's time consuming and it slows everything down, right? You go to the bus and you show the QR code, he shoots it, you number, you're done. Okay. Now, if you came up with that concept, now this is not something new. It exists in China for the last 20 years. So I didn't create it. I just saw it. Sri Lanka doesn't have it. Okay. So if you create something like that, then you have an impact. Imagine the number of people who will be traveling in a bus or taxi or something, or go to buy a cup of coffee, go to a restaurant, eat. Every time there's a financial transaction, you just give the QR code. You can have it in your cell phone too. The cell phone, you open the cell phone, the QR code, and then you put the number, you pay, you're done, right? If you make 1 rupee for every transaction, in a day you are a billionaire. Okay, in a month or a year you are a zillionaire. I don't know how much that means. Okay, the impact is huge, right? So these are the things that you need to think about. What impact can I go for? Now, of course, you can make something and it's very useful for humanity. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You came up with the idea that helps 200 patients in the country, okay? 200 patients. But these patients are suffering. They cannot get out of bed, they cannot talk, and some impairment. So you came up with an idea, you solved that problem. There was a need, right? What is the impact? Not money. There's a humanitarian impact. You improve the life of people. It's the impact. So impact, when I saw about, is not just dollars, not just rupees. It's an impact of bringing the people's lives up. Okay, that's okay. Let's do it. But be aware how you make that impact, you're still poor. Okay. So, but this impact is equally important. Okay. So social impact is one, and personal impact is the other. Now, market impact is the one we talked about earlier: Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, and other things. Huge market impact. So you can pick and choose what you want to do. But whatever you want to do, these two things, these two criteria must be satisfied. There has to be a need. I mean, that's the thing that 99.9% of startups and entrepreneurs fail, is because they did not look carefully about the need. Impact is something, it's up to you. Okay, I want to make $100, 1,000 rupees a month, fine. You happy with it? Fine. Or and say I want to make 100 billion rupees a month, fine. That's your call. That's the impact. Okay. So the need and the impact. So I'm not going to talk about this slide. So I want to talk a little bit about myself. Hopefully, you can see what happened with me, and maybe you can say, well, maybe something like that can happen to you as well. So, like Professor I did said, I was born as a chemical engineer. I had my undergraduate, postgraduate, PhD is in chemical engineering. But I haven't practiced a single day as a chemical engineer, not one day as a chemical engineer. When I came back to Sri Lanka, like 1 month I worked in the refinery, but I didn't like it because it was not comfortable. It's in the night. I didn't know what's going on. So I changed. So for most part, I don't have a life as a chemical engineer. So when I was, I think the final year of my getting PhD, there was a small conference, not a big conference. And I presented a paper. And during lunchtime, I was seated at a table and I was having my lunch. So at the table, there were about 4 or 5 other guys, and they were talking about a problem that they have in their companies. So these guys belong to two different divisions of the same corporation. So they know each other. They can talk this stuff without having confidentiality issues. You know, they work for the same company. So they were talking about this issue, and I'm eating my lunch and I'm listening to this. I mean, I wasn't purposely doing it. They were talking, I heard it. And I thought to myself, and they had this problem for 3 years. They haven't been able to solve it. So after the lunch, they left, and I finished my lunch. I went and talked to the guy who has the problem. His name is Ed. He is a graduate student in the school and he was in some of my classes because when you do these graduate courses, they're usually in the night because the industry people can also come. So I kind of knew him, not a friend, just knew him. So I said, hey, I heard about this. What's the problem? I mean, this seems like the answer is very simple, you know? Why don't you do this, do that, do this? I just blurted out some stuff. I said, oh, yeah, okay, let me try. A week, 10 days later, I got a call from him saying, my boss wants to talk to you. So I got in, I drove 30 miles, went to see the boss. And interestingly, when you're a graduate student, when I was a graduate student, I was smarter than I am today, you know. So that's the kind of attitude graduate students have. I think you all are the same. So I went and talked to Bob and said, oh, I heard, he asked me, how do you solve this problem? You have been working for 3 years. Do you think you can solve it? I said, yes, and if you do this, do this, do this, do that, do this. I was just talking. I don't think I knew what the hell I was talking about either. And the guy said, oh, really? Good. So I was on the second floor. He walked me down the stairs, went into a personal office, went and talked to a lady inside and asked me to sit outside. He came out a few minutes later with a lady and I went and sat inside. She has something typed up. We want to make you an offer for a job. And I was surprised. I was a Fulbright scholar. I mean, I'm on a visa that cannot be changed, okay? So when you go on a Fulbright scholarship, your visa cannot change. But I didn't know that. I took it, signed it. I went to my professor and said, hey, I got a job. What do I do? I said, yes, go. You're done. So I was happy both ways. One, my professor said, I'm done. That means I can get my PhD. And I got a job. And so I went to work there. In 3 months, I solved the problem. I did whatever I told these guys, which I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I solved the problem. And I built this catheter today. This is 1978. It's a very well-known product that measures the cardiac output. How much does the heart pump? Every time the heart goes, how much does the heart pump as a cardiac output? This is a catheter. So I helped to develop this catheter. They've been trying for 3 years. As soon as this product was, so I work with this doctor called Dr. Gans. The catheter is made after this guy. He's called Swan Gans catheter. That's the name of the catheter. Even today, they are using it to determine the cardiac output. So I work very closely with him. I went into his lab. He has an animal lab, dogs, and put the catheter into dogs' hearts. So I kind of got introduced into this. Dr. Gans is an older German doctor, very friendly. So when he saw my excitement, he said, okay, Bandula, you can do it. So I pushed these catheters into the dog's heart. I did it myself with him, with his help. That's how I got introduced into this. So I'm a chemical engineer. I just fell into this field of medicine. And interestingly, it's cardiovascular medicine. I solved the problem. They hired me as an engineer, which is unusual because they usually hire as an assistant engineer. But I had a PhD, so I was having a PhD, almost having a PhD. So they gave me a job as an engineer. 3 months later, they promoted me to senior engineer. And then I developed the today's angioplasty catheter balloon. I became a manager and research and development manager. So in that company, it was like steps. Climb every step, every 2, 3 months, I gotta climb a step. That was my introduction to it, solving these problems and coming up with these products. Okay. So, so in the process, there were a lot of real development that happened. In 1979, there was you already heard about using a balloon to open up arteries in the heart called angioplasty. I think you have heard of that, right? So there wasn't that didn't exist then. So this doctor in Europe, a German doctor called Andreas Grunzig, came up with this idea, and we are supposed to make this balloon catheter. And those of you who are in engineering, you know that the stress on the wall of a balloon, on a cylindrical balloon, is very high. And this balloon is 0.15 to 0.1215 of a millimeter, very thin, okay? So the stress is pressure times diameter or twice the thickness, PD or twice T is the stress. There were no materials at the time that can withstand that amount of stress. If you take a calculator and do this pressure is usually, at the time, 10 atmospheres. Diameter is like 2-3 millimeters. Thickness was 0.12, so 2T will be 0.24. If you do that calculation, your stress, huge. No material existed that kind of tensile strength. So everybody who tried this is constantly failing, could make it. When I was a graduate student, there was a professor on sabbatical from Massachusetts, University of Massachusetts, at our school. I'm in Southern California. And she was somebody who was an expert on this thing called birefringence. You know, when you pass light through a polymer, the light rotates, okay? Polarized light rotates, called birefringence. And that rotation depends on how the molecules are arranged. So working on this, coming from Sri Lanka, especially the gold, and thinking about how can I make it stronger. First thing that came to my mind was these people, the fishermen who put a big net in the ocean and they pull, right? When everybody is in line and pulling in one direction, they get pulled. So orient. So if all the fishermen were pulling in different directions, you wouldn't be able to pull that net out. I think this is called Madala or something like that, right? Orientation. I went back to school, talked to the lady, I forgot her name now. I said, how can I increase the strength? You said, Bandula, birefringence. Align the molecules. Aha. Then I went back I had the freedom to go back and forth to school and work. So went there, make a plastic balloon, 2 to 3 millimeters in diameter, and that 0.12 millimeter thickness. And we went up to about 6 to 7 atmospheres burst pressure. We needed 10. So that's the birth of the angioplasty catheter. So that's the first time anybody ever developed an angioplasty balloon. But our company, because I didn't make 10, didn't feel like they want to step into it. And meanwhile, I went to a new job. I was a director of research. And I was working, I always was thinking, how can I make this balloon better? So one day, I made some tubing, went home into my kitchen, boiled some water, and asked my wife, with the help, put it in there into a mold and blew up a balloon. And we made a balloon out of PET. Polyethylene interrupter, PET. This is the material, okay? Guess what? That balloon went to 15 atmospheres and was thin. I said, wow, we got it. Okay. I mean, it was 5, 6 in the afternoon. We just jumped out like this guy, what's his name, who got out of the Archimedes. But Archimedes did. I was not naked, but we were very happy. My wife and I, we hugged each other. Hey, we got it. We made it. I went to work and to my boss and said, I wrote my resignation and gave it to him. But interestingly, I gave my resignation a year from now. I'm going to resign a year from now until you find my replacement. So nobody has ever done that to him. He said, people, when they resign, they give 2 weeks notice and they walk. But you care about the company so much, you're going to stay here for a year while we find your replacement. He was very happy to see that. So guess what? He said, okay, go ahead, retire, start your business. Come to work every day, okay? We'll pay you salary too. So one year, they paid my salary. I started my own company. And I developed this company called Leo Co., which became world famous. And while I'm still working, collecting some salary, which is not bad, and started my company in the garage by myself. And after I got somewhere with it, so coming back to need and impact, at the time, the need was obvious. Every company, every major medical company in the United States is trying to make the balloon, everybody's trying, because I'm not the director of research. I'm not an engineer somewhere. I'm director of research, so I'm in the circle. And I realized these companies are all trying to do it, and I'm here. I know I can. There's a need, and there's going to be a huge impact. So I left. I started my company in 1978. Not 78, it was 84. Okay. Next morning, Monday morning, wake up, no place to go because 1 year passed by. Getting nervous. So I developed something else. Meanwhile, I developed something else and I sold it to another company. They paid me very handsomely for this invention. So that just provided me the financial base and continued in it. And then I joined with the cardiologist and we developed a company called Leoco that make this angioplastic catheter and develop a blood pump that to pump blood in the heart. So we had a company and we became small baby star. Other companies are big. We are a small company. But we became famous because we disrupted. We came out with the idea, Airbnb, the Uber idea. And so everybody was looking at us all over the world. So that we had a lot of very interesting investments. So we built the company up. I ran the company for about 15 years and sold the company to Boston Scientific. So again, to impress upon you is you can look at my story here and say, I can do that. If Bandula Wijay, who is a village kid from Patadua, can do this, go to America and do all these things, I think you must be from Moratuwa someplace. There's a more city and more modern today compared to. We used to go to school in a bakkia. You know what a bakkia is? It's a car, bull-driven cart. That's a bakkia. That's how I went to school when I up to 3rd grade. Then my father had a car and then we went by car. But we were village people, no? We were in the village. My father was a school principal. So we grew up in this village. I went to Mahindra College, which is good school. But you look at me and say, I can do that. I am 1,000 times better than this guy, you know? So if he, in this scale, I'm somewhere in 2, you're already in somewhere in 8 or 10, 8 or 9. So if 2 can do it, 8 can do it, right? So that's how I got started. I built a company. And I became, in the United States, everybody knew Leoco, everybody knew Bandula Wijay, everybody knew Dr. Angelini, my partner. So then there are other things you need in order to have success, okay? Like, for example, you, I don't know whether you guys play cricket. I don't. When I was little boy, we played kadru ball, cricket, right? Something like that. So I never really was a cricket player. I was never an athlete. But let's say you come with a cricket ball. It's different than what is today. You made it out of some sort of rubber inside and leather outside or non-leather outside. Leather is expensive. Maybe you can 3D print this thing or whatever. You come with a cricket ball. You think you can sell it? Chances are your ability to sell this cricket ball is 0 to none. Nobody will buy the cricket ball. But imagine you go to some restaurant and you're eating crab or something, and next table is Sangakkara. And of course, you know who he is. You identify he's, that's Sangakkara. I don't know, okay? And you go and say, Mr. Sangakkara, can I talk to you? And so what do you want to talk about? I have this cricket ball. I developed this cricket ball. It is good. It's good for spin. It's good for this. It's good for that. You give you a 2-minute pitch and, oh, really? I don't know whether Sangakkara is a bowler or batsman. Is he a batsman or bowler? Batsman, right? Huh? Not a bowler. Okay. But and you get Sangakkara to come on television and say, this is locally made cricket ball. It's better than the ball made in England that I played in test matches. Guess what? You have an influencer. You have somebody to tell your story out. So it doesn't matter that you come up with the idea to dilate the arteries in the coronary, in the heart. Okay? Nobody will talk to you. You can't go from point A to point B with that unless you have Sangakkara. So one way you will make it happen is you get Sangakkara involved. I mean, I'm not saying Sangakkara, literally, okay? So you need a influencer, a promoter who will come and say, yeah, this is the best cricket ball there was ever. So actually, I did go to a restaurant to eat crab, lamphora crab, and next table, Sangakkara. I didn't know it was Sangakkara. So people I went with him, do you know who he is? It's Sangakkara. I said, okay, let me go talk to him. I went and say, hello, sir. I'm so and so. He already knew me anyway. So we shook hands, and I didn't ask him to promote a cricket ball, but he just said hello. It did happen to me. So the Sangakkara story is somewhat real, okay? So you have a need, different kinds of needs. You have an impact, different kinds of impact, but you have to have the need, you have to have the impact, that different kinds of needs and different kinds of impact. This is all right, but you have to have it, okay? Then you need a promoter. Who is the promoter in me? So when I developed angioplasty and this so-called pump, Dr. Angelini is a very well-known cardiologist in the world. He's like a big-time, well-known. He's the Sangakkara in cardiology. So when he goes to these conferences, get on the stage, PowerPoint presentation of active perfusion or the myocardial perfusion or the heart develop, people ask questions. And he would say, wait a minute, frankly, I don't know the answer to this question. Let me ask. Where are you, Bandula? Bandula, please get up. There's 1,000 people in the audience, okay? He's a promoter. He is promoting me intentionally. Maybe he knew the answer. But he did this on purpose, so to give me some credit. So I slowly get up, very shy. I was 38 years old or something like that. No, less, 32, 33. And people ask the question from me. So I don't have a mic. So I said, okay, come talk to me later on. No, because a big audience, without a mic, you can't. So that is another thing that you need to create in order for this success. You have to have that promoter. Without that promoter, it's up to climb. Okay. So need, impact, the promoter. Now comes the next one. Let me see whether I can come to. So here's the real world example of Tesla BYD. I mean, you know what happened to Tesla and BYD, right? It's incredible story. Huh? Can you imagine what is electric cars right now? In the US, we have the Tesla. I have a different electric car, which is higher than Tesla. But I think my car called Lucid is behind BID. BID is ahead of me, but I'm ahead of Tesla. And look what happened. Look what the electric car. I mean, didn't you guys think about nice to have an electric car? But this guy, Elon Musk and BYD and other people, they not only thought about it, they did it, right? So real world example would be, so I'm going to. So this is my last slide. The best way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker is an important philosopher. You know, so I'll close this.
Thank you. First one, I think Moratu can say we are the only university at this stage of having the only co-working space. So it's a little bit of barging in and claiming your place and setting up shop. So we are the only university. Enterprise has that. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let me consider time to Ruhana. Professor Ruhan, Dean, FGS, to do small appreciation for Dr. Bandula Wijay. And the Volga plane is also there. You can join that corner T, but it follows that principle. The fruits of your research is proportional to the number of your conversation with others, and here we have one of the best to have a conversation.